in developing media literacy. Media influence and also dependency and democracy in the society. These are the issues that we'll be touching, and by this I think we'll be coming to the end of your semester's session, and all the topics of your subject. So let us begin to talk about the media literacy in terms of application of media literacies in various fields. So what is, as till now we have understood that what is media literacy, but at the same time we have to see that why are we talking so much about the media literacy. So we have to understand that what is the influence of media and audience. Then we will also try to understand what is the media dependency, and at the same time we will also discuss as part of the application part that this explain the pluralistic media in Indian society, and also the role as ever to understand that what is the media plays kind of a role in democratic society. And finally, the political economy and the mass media is also what we will try to understand. So here we will first have throw a light on the media's influence on the audience. I believe everybody understands that definitely there is some kind of an influence on the audience, yes or no. So we see that media has the power to influence individuals in terms of beliefs, attitudes and behaviors. So these social norms that influence and encourage, sometimes what happens is that there are certain things because of the issues that happen into the media that we are influenced. Yeah, as in the last session we have read about that does really the media instigate some kind of a violence. Yeah, there is a it's not a neutral answer. It is not yes, it is not no, but definitely we see that there is some kind of some social effect that we come across when we talk about the media's influence on the audiences. Yeah, that can be in terms of their behavior, and that can be in terms of their belief and the attitude. Yeah, so that way, or building in public opinion. So today as we see that everywhere we can easily are able to accessible the media, and especially when we talk about the breaking news, it is really creating so much of ripples in our media consumption, so and the media messages consumption. So here we see why it is happening, because there is some kind of a dependency on the media. Media assumes a noteworthy job in giving majority elective systems and individuals privilege, and it tries to give a firm balance guaranteeing straightforwardness and responsibilities. Yes, we do agree that because media is something that in any nation has an significant and some integral role to be played. Definitely we see that it has some responsibility, and when it is having a responsibility, we also see that it is trying to share something which is worth in the public interest, and also where it is guaranteeing someone to ask the direct questions. Yeah, if they are not able to do when, so if country like democratic countries, here if we see that political leaders are not able to do, then media has all rights to ask and question that what is happening. So in a way we see that media is bringing out the truth and revealing political hypocrisies in limelight. So that way we feel that apart from this political dependency, also we also see that there are some issues that have help me those issues take a platform of media and try to come to the notice of the people or to the concerned authorities. And that is why we say media is a voice for the voiceless. So it could be related to the liberation of women's right, it could be something about the genocides, it could be about the superstitions in that way. So there are certain, but unfortunately the present trend of media is instead of playing the primary role, we see that media either has become a political overtone, or it has become a basic medium and the common medium for the entertainment, which is very unfortunate. Then We also see that all these kind of trends what we are seeing is this is post LPG, that is liberalization, privatization, and globalization. So with that one, apart from that also we see that our Indian constitution also provides a basic and right of freedom of speech and expression, which is enshrined under the article 19 of a constitution. So in this it talks about the freedom of speech and expression. Then again at the same time it is also is talking about the article 19.2 with the reasonable restrictions, wherein it says that any matters are subject to the sensibility of privacy or confidentiality of the state or union, it will be this article 92 is applicable to them, and it can be subject to sensible limitations. So there are certain constraints in article 19.2 that we see. So as part of the article 19.2, we see that you need to have a respect, you need to be honest, you need to see that you are maintaining good relationships with the other states, and also having an peaceful and open request. So as far as article 19.1, what does the Indian constitution say? Indian constitution talks about freedom of speech and expression. So if you see this, the first press commission in its report said that the freedom in state is wide terms and not only included freedom of speech of oral utterance, but freedom of expression. So it is not only the speech, but it is also a freedom of expression. So expression can be communicated by the written words also. There can be no doubt about a freedom of press in a fundamental right guaranteed by our constitution. So that is what the constitution also gives us a fundamental right for freedom of speech and expression with 19.1a article, at the same time 19.2 article with a reasonable restriction. Then further we see that what is the social media and the role of democracy, in the role of in a country where we have a democracy. Now when we say social media, it has become a remarkable platform for each and everyone. And right now with the digitalization of the all the contents and all the situations, we see that this web based social networking are more common to each and everyone. So we see that it makes some effect, whether we deny or not, but some effect on social majority rule system. So, and also we have noticed that web-based is something primary focal point of the current occasion. So, social media makes information more easier and more transferable. So, when we say that social media makes a simple for the data to be moved to the individuals, as we know that it's only one click away, or it is something one forward away the information. So certain NGOs and different associations educates about the strategies taken government for the nation's improvement. So that in a positive manner, if you see that, if it is a policy decision or something, it is more helpful. But then there are also critics, because we have seen in the past that how the social media and especially the networking sites like Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp all have played with the psyche of the thousands of human beings, not only thousands, everyone, and also had created a danger of thoughts, basically, so which is not to be encouraged. Then what is the media and what is pluralistic media, and how it can we connect with the Indian society? So we have to understand, when we say pluralistic media, mass media influence the way the facts are viewed and debated in the society, right? So independence and pluralism in media, public opinion and views, including criticism of people in power, are the safeguards of a healthy democracy. Yeah. So when we are talking about a healthy democracy, what is healthy democracy? Now, if I question you, are we living in a healthy democracy? If so, then the democracy should ensure that we are having a healthy democracy, if we are able to have a public opinion, views, including criticism of the people in the power. So monitoring and ensuring ownership pluralism is the first step towards independence and freedom of choice. So when we want the media to work unbiased, which is part of the basic principle of journalism, so we have to ensure that it is working towards ensuring and monitoring the ownership pluralism, towards freedom of media, and also the media has a freedom of choice of their own issue. So in India, the media industry has seen immense growth with the number of news television channels, online and offline newspapers and magazines, and of course, live news delivered to handle devices like with the present smartphone that we have. So now we are taking the media and roaming with our media into our day-to-day lives with our mobile phones. So with that, we can understand, how much of reach it has, how much of audiences it has. So with this growing kind of a reach, so therefore the media literacy has a very crucial role to be maintained and to follow. So in such situation, the media ownership structure is a crucial to maintain the freedom of the press. Yeah, because we don't know who are the source in the media, social media, message generated. If the ownership rests within the hands of a certain people that have specific political or business affiliations, the consequences definitely are not in the favor of democracy, and therefore we live where our freedom of press is curtailed and we live in an unhealthy democracy. Then media pluralism, what exactly it is? Media pluralism defines the state of being having a plurality of voice, opinions and analysis of media system, or the coexistence of different and diverse types of media and media support. So it is often recognized that by international organizations and NGOs as an essential part of a democratic state. So Reporters Without Borders considered access to a plurality of editorial lines and analysis essentials for citizens to be able to confront ideas, to make their own informed choices and to conduct their life freely. So thus we see that the media pluralism is all about having different opinions of the voices and opinions and analysis on media system, and also where they are able to access the editorial lines and analyze the essentials for the citizens to be able to confront ideas. Then expanded access to the internet and digital switchover has enabled an increased availability of media content, which we cannot deny. And also we see that, largely through sharing and user generated contents on the social media, the digital channels to which individuals have access across the television and radio has grown immensely. So the term media pluralism is not generally found in India, but pluralism and diversity are both used to describe when we are talking in reference to our Indian scenario. So here we see that, the media diversification and the pluralism is something where we are trying to describe a variety of media sources and opinions. So media diversity is usually used to describe the prolific growth and expansion of media types with various political and social economic ideologies, languages. In India has a strategic geopolitical position in the country as the largest country in the South Asia. And as you know, we are the second largest in the population also. So therefore, we see a diverse, pluralistic society, therefore the pluralistic media that can, connect the people each everywhere. Then, when we're talking about media in democratic society, as understand that, media has certain rules on and on, we are trying to understand that, there is some kind of a responsibility that media has to follow. So all through the lessons, what we have learned, we understand that, there are certain limitations for the media to be followed. And there are certain rules and regulations that, the media people are supposed to, take a note of it and function accordingly. So what are they? They are that, the media never ever should provoke anything that creates or disturbs the communal harmony is the foremost. Apart from that, the media has a function of provoking public debates, leading to greater public participation in important decisions. So apart from seeing that, it is maintaining communal harmony and peace of the country, also it has to see that, media has an very important function of provoking the public debates, rather, trying to see that, the thought process of the viewers should be in such a way that they come into a greater public participation in terms of public debates, in especially in important decisions. Then we see this, the media has to uncover abuses, pressures for their rectification. At the same time, the media should also function as an alert and mobilize public opinion to humanitarian causes and injustice. And also the media should allow political pluralism to express itself by advertising different views and ideological approaches to certain issues. We also have media also has a function of keeping politicians attuned to public opinion while offering politicians a medium to explain policies, decisions to public opinion and build the necessaries. So in a crux, we say that it is not about only the politicians where they can use the media for their passing on the governmental policies or the public opinion, but at the same time, the public also can should have the right to talk and build a public opinion of their political representatives. So we see that the responsibility of media towards society has a greater power and comes with a great responsibility. A total impartial media is neither possible nor desirable. So most newspapers have political or ideological references, but it is essential to maintain a distinction between facts and opinion and reporting and analysis. So while we are doing as a media literate, we have to concentrate on these parts. So what are those important areas where we have to see? The first one is that we the media is essentially to maintain a distinction between facts and opinions. Yeah, facts and opinions, and reporting and analysis. Then use only trained professional reporters with knowledge of the subject who check sources before reporting. And at the same time, we have to see that the political agenda, if set, also explain the issues without trivializing or sensationalizing it. So also at the same time, then we have to see that it should be error free, and in case if it has published corrections also. And we have to preserve the state secrets and not use information like to harm the national security or endanger anybody's life. Then the responsibility of media towards the society is something where the media can only survive when it is taking the responsibility of it by playing equal level playing field in terms of a pluralistic media, because India is also a pluralistic society. So how can it do that one? So this can be done by means of anti-monopoly trust legislation, avoid excessive taxation on small media, making large spectrum of airwaves frequencies available, encouraging a strong private sector in addition to the state controlled media, legislating minimum TV or radio access to all opposition political parties, freedom of information laws, or at least avoiding catch all official secrets laws, then legislating appropriate privacy or libel laws that prevent media intrusion into public's private life. So we see that we definitely have press councils and regulatory bodies that keep on check about all these issues, and see that media is not working biased, or is a overtone of any political party. So the government wants to, but on the contrary, we see that government wants to control the release of information and present a united front. The media like to look for the cracks and the contradiction. One likes good or predictable news. So when in a sense that the dog eats man is not a news, but when the man bites the dog is a news. So the other likes bad news or the unusual news has to be presented. Then what is the network of the politicians and the journalists? Politician and journalists should treat each other with respect, but apart from the respect, they also have to see that they are maintaining a professional standards among themselves. Politicians shouldn't never ever try to control the journalist, and the journalists who are close to politician never should lose their objectivity. So the perception of the policy is an important as the policy itself, particularly when the media presents in real time in political leaders' decision. So we see that whether whatsoever there should be an objectivity, and there should be something fairness, there should be a balance. While we are talking in terms of related to the political party updates, or talking about the political um, agendas, or representing the agendas. So we see that it is inevitable in modern democracy that politicians should use a spokesperson and PR consultants to keep their personalities and messages prominent in the media. But let us not forget that there is no substitute for political leader explaining themselves directly to their voters via media. That is the essence of the democratic process. So we see that that is what we are often coming about the news that they are looking out for the persons with the media experience who can manage the portals or their social media platforms and all those things. Because whatever the politician be, wherever the journalist be, but then with the presence of the social media and also the kind of media growing, there is a special need of about trained professionals like PRs and other communication officers, that we see there is a demand for that one. Then let us understand what is the political economy and mass media. So, political economy or the PE is an approach to studying media whose focus is towards the ways in which media is produced, distributed and consumed, rather than on analyzing the interpretations of the signs and symbols. Yeah, so political economy. Till now, we have been reading about what media literacy. So, when we are reading about the media literacy, we came to understand that media literacy is something where we are talking about the content evaluation analysis and having a critical thinking, all those things. But when we are trying to compare it with the political economy, so political economy is a different kind of an approach where we are trying to study the media whose focus is on what the media produces, what it distributes, and how it is consumed, rather than on the interpretations of the signs and signals. So the combination of the term political and economy, which make up PE, that is political economy, is reference to the fact that media texts are produced with specific and historical system, which are merely an ideology, yeah, which are merely the ideology of the political system and a neutral form of exchange, but are conditioned by a range of complex interaction between nation states, international organizations, legal institutions and frameworks, and also including the cultural traditions and heritage and other organizations, including the economic pressures. So political economy is something related to the information that is a part of a complex interaction between the nation states, international organizations, legal institutions and frameworks, and cultural traditions and heritage, and as well as the having an economic pressure. So, in other words, PE focuses upon the ways in which the politics and economics are not separate entities, but that economics and politics are fields which are best understood as and being entangled, meaning that they are functionally inseparable. They go hand in hand, they work together. And that understanding elements of this is very important to understand the way the society and the culture works. So we see that over the last decade, a sizable number of economists have begun to study the behavior and political effects of media. A survey was there where it proposed a way of organizing the body of we, and in this matter, we need a survey where it has to be a planned and systematic and scientific survey. And we have to summarize the insights that have been learned so far and suggest the potential important questions. So we have to talk the research in terms of the sections covering the background, transparency, capture, informative coverage, and ideological bias. So media capture is a present or latent risk in the developing countries and many developed countries. A model of policy choice with endogenous media coverage supplies and an array of testable implication used to organize the existing empirical work. The key questions are: what drives media coverage of politics? How does this coverage influence government policy, the actions and selections of politicians, and the information levels and voting behavior of the public? Then we see that there needs to be a transparency, yeah, when the media, we are talking about the media. So first we ask, what is the information and what is the information that is beneficial to the voters in terms of the political coverage or the political communication or the media, the how the it is using the political party using the media. So this is done in simple and general. मैं माइक नहीं लगा लेके हेलो 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 Yeah. Hello, are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
So transparency is also the most important thing that where we understand is the really the media and the information that is been worked out are worked for the beneficial of the functioning of the democracy or not. So what let us understand political economy of the media. So political economy of the media includes several domains including journalism, broadcasting, advertising and information and communication technology. A political economy approach analyzes the power relationship between politics, mediation, and economics. First, there is a need to identify the intellectual history of the field, focusing on the establishment and growth of the political economy of media as an academic field. Then we see that second, it is we have to discuss the epistemology of the field by emphasizing several characteristics that differentiate it from other approaches within the media and communication research. The third one is that there is a need of understanding the regulations affecting the ICT or the digital media driven environment. So, in particular, what are the ways the political economists to develop and use political economy in digital media? And new media is driven by the platform technologies in the three new areas of the digital platform, being big data and digital labor. These are the areas of crucial that we come across when we are talking about the political economy of the media. So thus we have understood from this section that the media are vital for the creation and the development of democratic culture in any country, because they provide you information which influences the process of shaping opinions and attitudes and making political choices. Therefore the media must be free, pluralistic and independent so that they can voluntarily assume social accountability. So the media shapes of public opinion, but it would be wrong to claim that they have done alone they have done it. So the democratic culture of a society is equally determined by its history, its cultural and religious tradition, and by its standard of living. It also required in the family, at work, and in the community. Freedom of expression is a vital element of a nation's democratic culture. Even though it may seem trivial to reaffirm this principle, it should not be forgotten that it is an actual implementation and can be a complicated process in a matter of our day-to-day struggle. So this is all about the application and the political economy and the of the media. Then let us understand. Yeah. Why do we see what are the various aspects in developing media literacy? Yeah. So here we will try to talk about the cognitive, emotional, moral aspects, and also talk about the interpersonal techniques of the media literacy, and talk about the interventional of media literacy, and about the public education and the media literacy, and also the societal techniques of media literacy. We understood that the purpose of developing a media literacy strategy is to gain control over the press of the press and to influence the media in currently which is dominated in our society. There is an unrealistic goal also. The strategy should be very much gradually improved, and we should see that there is a awareness process in terms of influencing and also controlling the media. So there is a need to develop media literacy. So why? Let us understand. There are different reasons for media exposures. All can be valid and highly useful, but the usage might vary. Whatsoever, we have to see that we see that with a little effort, we could increase our control over the content and perhaps even increase in our enjoyment of the content by experiencing a stronger emotional reaction or a greater appreciation would make us be more comfortable. If it is a facts and information, the process about the process, the material actively to select those facts and categorize them would be well. Instead, you want to be entertained by establishing a parasocial interaction with a particular character who is attractive to you. Then we have to be aware of the attraction and how it might be affecting you. Remember that such characters live in a world very unlikely to your own existence. So you have to see that, if you are influenced by some social media characters, you need to also be careful following it, that one. So it is a time that we need to develop active media user habits. Yeah, now that, as we have mentioned just now, that the media, we are taking media in our hands and we're going around, so that kind of accessibility we have. So in such situation, we see that we need to develop an active media using habits. So what are those? So it is important to develop active media use habits, and get away from the bad habits. When you are passive, the media effects occur outside your awareness and therefore outside your control. Let us remember that active processing and high involvement with media reduce unwanted effects. People are conscious of what they are exposed and actively interact with the content will retain control over the learning process. Such people will consciously discount certain messages and carefully encode other information for memory storage. People who are not active processors of information will let the media, especially the television, happen to them. The content of exposure can also influence the activity of information processing. When watching a message, analyze the contextual elements. So, being aware of the fantasy reality is especially seen in the social media or the reality programs on the television. All of these programs have reality elements, but they also have fantasy elements, isn't it? Some of these reality show may have a mix of elements that make them less real than some fictional programs. The distinction between shows labeled reality and those labeled fiction is not a sharp, clear line. So we need to educate, and we should understand that what is the reality and what is the fiction. Though it is a reality show, but still there is a possibility of having a fiction in it. So that kind of a judgment you have to develop. Then only you will be able to decide whether it's a good or a bad. Then we have a generic concept. So although media literacy is a generic concept that spans all across the media, there are some special challenges presented by the different channels. For example, reading a magazine article requires some skills which are not required while watching a television. This point, of course, is obvious, but the nature of differences themselves is not so obvious. To illustrate, let us say that if you are watching a news story on some, national channels, then you look out for that story in your local newspaper. So these differences will become more clear for a radio station and a magazine that comes out once a month. So we have to see that, try constructing a message that will make people laugh when they hear it in a song or a compact disc. So we know what are the characteristics features of the radio, because it's an oral sound in music media. We have to make it more compatible and also more engaging kind of, and having an enriching experience while they listen to all those things. So we have to translate the humor onto the computer screen for the internet browsers. Now the same thing has to be translated. So designing good media messages, especially humorous ones, is very difficult. Exercises such these will help increase your aesthetic appreciation. So these are areas where we can improve our media content generation and accessibility also. And if you have a more control over media, increasing level of media literacy gives you more power to the control of media exposures and their effects eventually. At lower levels of media literacy, you default to media control. That is, the media will use you to achieve their own goals. Rather, we understanding the media will use us for achieving their own goals. The mass media are composed of businesses that are very sophisticated in knowing how to attract your attention and condition for your repeat exposures. Also, acquiring media literacy can be truly successful if we consider that relationship between specific media and the ways you get educated. On one hand, there are great hopes and expectations of modern day technologies, and we believe that they will enrich, like prodigy or child lives, creativity, expand knowledge, encourage multicultural tolerance, and development of democracy. On the other hand, there is a fear that it might dull children's emotion and develop indifferences towards others' sufferings, that it may encourage destructive behavior and lead to a decline in the state of moral values. There is a belief that introduction of modern technologies will repress local cultures and lead to a social estrangement. This we have also seen, there was a survey where there is an impact of media and social media in the change of the style of child's talking, behaving, and also expressing. So that is what it is trying to say, the media, acquiring media literacy, and we have to understand what is good and what is bad. So media directs and controls human desires, conviction, and attitude, offering content suitable for that purpose. These changes range from low to extremely significant by giving information about all the events all over the globe, introducing knowledge about the new scopes, and opening new forms of entertainment to educate them. Starting from a presumption that social actions are mediated by meaning, and in the context of human communication, exchange of information is a but for natural process. So everyday life requires young people to be informed. It obliges them to develop their skills by turning on the television receptor and entertaining the website. So whatsoever we are but for natural exposed to the media. So, let us understand what is the goal of a media literacy. The goal of a media literacy is to give young people theoretical knowledge about mass communication media, their cultural, social, and political implications, to account possible misuses, and to enable them to read and analyze messages the media tries to pass on to them, and also to see that while they are making their own thing, how they are supposed to behave. So, and especially we see that young people need to learn how to participate in media life society. Participating in various aspects of media culture comprises the ability of understanding and a critical relationship towards messages and meanings which lie at their basis. They need to be taught how to use the media as an instrument of a social change, to master criteria for selecting and evaluate information the media is placing, and also to familiarize themselves with alternative forms of media culture. So we see that media literacy originated as an answer to the media culture. So let us understand what are the advantages of developing media literacy. There are primarily three advantages of a high degree of media literacy. First, with the increase in media literacy, your appetite for a wider variety of media messages will grow. So you will understand what you should, how you should, are you really missing something, or you are into more excessive of the media messages access. Second, with the increase in media literacy, you will learn about how to program your own mental codes, or your expressions or the feelings related to that one. And the third is it will increase you are able to exercise more control over the media. So you will be able to control that, okay, I'm not going to see this, I'm going to see this one, I have to be fair enough, I have to be positive, or I have to raise a voice. So that it will help you by having a developed media literacies. Now, to make you aware of differences in media literacy development, let us look at some examples how people react to different types of media content. Those reactions are best understood when compared to the position on the learning laggards of cognitive, emotional, moral, and aesthetic appreciations. The learning ladders of remind us that we can improve our degree of media literacy in three areas, that is, seeing cognitions, emotions, and morality. Progress on these ladders is accomplished by mastering the skill of analysis, evaluation, grouping, induction, deduction, synthesis, and abstracting, which are also part of the media literacy. So what is cognitive ladder? The first step is awareness, which is ability to perceive the information elements in the media messages. This requires the use of analysis. The next step is understanding. This is the ability to perceive the relevant components in any message and then group them to see how these elements are related to each other. The next step is evaluation. So first one is about talking about the awareness, where it will give an ability to understand and give up information about the media message. Then when once you got the information, then you analyze. Then after you analyze, you understand. Then after understanding, you evaluate. So this is part of the cognitive ladder. Then we have an emotional ladder. So what is emotional ladder? Here, at low levels of emotional development, people's emotion control them. They get aroused and angry without even without able to control those reactions. They experience fear so strong that they cannot shake it, or they cry at a movie or cannot stop even though they are very embarrassed, or they are unable to feel any emotions even they long to do so. At higher levels of emotional development, people can use the media to shape and control their emotions. For example, stressed women watch more serials, play game and variety show, as well as more television, whereas stressed men watch more action and violent programming. So depressed people, especially, even watching also, we have this gender bias. Yeah. Okay. Depressed people especially use television to escape unpleasant feelings and real world stimuli that would exacerbate those feelings. So if people are aware what they are doing, then the use of media to manage mood and their high levels of media literacy is also understood. Then the third level is about the moral ladder. The moral ladder requires the development of opinions about ethical nature of the media message. Take a moral stand that certain messages are more constructive for society than the others. This is basically a multi-dimensional perspective based on a thorough analysis of the media landscape. So there can also be a low level, middle level, and higher level. So what is low level? Low level is something you construct a moral judgment based on intuition or someone else's judgment. Yeah. Then the middle level is it distinguishing the characters on their values, identifying those who have the same values as you have. Then that is you will have a like-minded people. Yeah. Higher levels, you think of the past characters to focus on overall narrative, assume different moral perspectives. So we I understand with this that there are low levels of understanding of the media literacy, and therefore we see that the role of the media and the usage of the media is totally not understandable in the present society. Then
Ma'am,
yeah, ma.
can you give us an example for higher level, moral ladder?
Yeah, ma. See, for example, now, for example, we have our political leaders, right? Yeah. So
Yes,
now,
yes,
because
ma'am.
you have a moral value built up in you, and if they are talking about a woman, on account of something, and they are trying to demean. So if it is a lower level, what you say, okay, could be, and we don't react. And if it is a middle level, we see that okay, if our peer group and the like-minded people are interacting, we will do. But if you have a higher level, then you will definitely question it, that in this as far as our Indian constitution, as far as our law and order, you are not supposed to speak. You will try to talk about it, and you will try to do a narrative about it, that in the past we have many women who have achieved the accolades, have done, bought the laurels, and who have done a development. So basically your judgment is they're very great. So this is all about the low levels of a moral ladder that constitutes the media literacy. Now in the present situation also, we see what happens is that there are so many issues that we are frustrated. Are we happy with the media content what we come across? Yeah.
No,
you
no,
know
ma'am.
no, we talk about this gender equality, and we see
Mm.
more of messages talking, putting a humor, giving a humor angle to a women related issues, and passing off the messages. So
Yes,
when
ma'am.
we are talking as a humor, okay, but then if your low level is there, then how would you take, okay, the woman is for that only? Just I'm giving an example. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Then
Yes, yes.
middle level is something, okay, it's something part of our process of forward we have done. But people like me or you, if we feel that no, every time why there should be a humor angle for the activities of a woman or a man, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Like
Yeah.
we can question in the high
Yes, we
level.
can. Yes,
Yes.
we can. And we are supposed to
Yes, ma'am.
present the main
Yeah, I have. Yes.
objective. Yeah, the objective of media literacy is to understand and analyze and evaluate. Ultimately, your evaluation and analysis should develop a critical thinking. So here, when you are questioning, that is you're having a critical thinking, and that is your higher level. So
Right,
this
ma'am.
is what, yeah. Then we have
Thank
this
you.
interpersonal techniques also in the media literacy. Let us see what it is. Media literacy interventions. We have seen that there are so much of not much of literature we found, but at the same time we also see that it talks about the behavior relevance, especially when we are talking about the media literacy. It is not more of a literature, but it is issue related to the behavior and the information that is been catered as part of the media messages. One second. So we thought we need to pay attention to the interpersonal communication also. In the context of media literacy interventions, interpersonal communication outcomes focus on the communication or talk about the intervention between participants and the other individual. These communication can include discussions about specific parts of the interventions, lessons learned from the participation in the interventions, or the important issues of the topic, like example, use of alcohol use, drug use, and all those things. So here, when we are saying this, the interpersonal communication are also important of part of the media literacy, because here it is giving a scope for your direct interpersonal communication. What is interpersonal communication? That you have a sender and you have a receiver. So there is a component of element of A and element of B, and you have a message. So wherein you interact with each other. So you can use this interpersonal communication for societal based issues. Now also we have the kind of a drug usage growing among the youth and all those things. So this you try to intervene related to the societal issues. So interpersonal techniques can be used by parents to help their children increase media literacy also. So not only apart from not only for the media, social media platforms, but the responsibility of the parents can also be there, and also not with the examples and again using the social media, but as a parent, interpersonal is like mother talking to a child, father talking a child is an interpersonal technique. So there they can also literate, because children are very easily prone to this media abuse. So that way the parent plays an important role. So these techniques can be understood in terms of interpersonal setting, which involves one-to-one television exposure also. There are three types of interpersonal techniques. One is restrictive mediation, co-viewing, and active mediation. So according to Potter, author of book Media Literacy, he states that this type of mediation involves setting rules about how much, when, and which types of television can be viewed. So it is something like restrictive mediations, so co-viewing and active mediations. These are the personal types of techniques, because we cannot say the child to just stop. Rather, we have to follow them by step by step. By we have to understand and make them explain that what you should watch, how much you should watch, when you should watch, and which type of television. So what happens is that you will be having a co-viewing, and also you will have immediately an active mediation. So there, when you are having a co-viewing, then you can directly see the child also will be ready to understand if you are trying to correct there. So restrictive mediation is used by the parents who have rules for TV and who are concerned about the negative effects of the television. So generally we see also that CB, the central certification of the films and all those things. So there's a
Yeah,
restrictive,
CBFC.
yeah. So that restrictive mediation is there. So we talk about the negative effects of the television and their advertisements. And in the co-viewing also, parents and children watch television together. With co-viewing, we see that no conversation is required. It involves sitting with your children while you both watch the television. And the third one is that where you get you to keep on talking if something is there, what it is. So co-viewing increases the learning of educational content, and children who co-view can enjoy the programs more, because they have learned they have come from the restrictive mediation. So they understand that content is been sorted out and which is suitable to them, and they will try to understand that one. Then intervention techniques in media literacy. So this media literacy differs from other prevention strategies because it advocates critical analysis of various kinds of media messages. Because the ultimate goal is to develop the critical thinking skills among the media users, and more so when we are talking about the youth and the students. So these active enhance critical thinking. This critical thinking and decision making skills empower the youth to make understand that what are the persuasive messages and vulnerable messages. So these effects will help them to understand and see that what is the content I am seeing, and they will take a better decision. Then we have a moderator model. Yeah, the moderator model suggests that the post-intervention talk could facilitate or hamper intervention effects. So talking about an intervention after participation means strengthen or amplify. So it is basically when the students are thorough about all the media content and all those things. There is a moderator model which talks about the interventions after they have understood and all those things. We try to intervene with that one. So, for instance, an intervention participant engages in personal talk about the harmful effects of cigarettes and remembers that the intervention message remains longer and apply for the skills so that they can change their attitude and can refuse to smoke also. But in the contrast, we see that intervention participant who does not engage. So there is a possibility that the youth or the students can come and have a participation in intervention techniques like talking to each other, but there is a possibility that cannot be ruled out that they might not also talk. So we have a public education techniques in the media literacy. So education of media literacy uses an inquiry based pedagogical model that encourages people to ask a question about what they watch, hear, and read. Media literacy moves beyond the traditional of the print media and the contemporary sources in the electronic media. So media literacy is just not limited to the television or to all the conventional and the traditional media, but the social media is also there. Media literacy education provides the tools to help people develop receptive media capability and to critically analyze messages, offer opportunities for learners to broaden their experience of media, and help them develop generative media capability to increase creative skills in making their own media messages. Now, when we are talking about the critical analysis can include identifying author, purpose, and point of view, examining construction techniques and genres, examining patterns of media representation, and detecting propaganda, censorship, and bias in news and public fair programming. So, media literacy education may explore how structural features such as media ownership or its funding model affect the information presented. I think this is a very, very important point. And through all these sessions, this is what the message of media literacy should go among the people who are taking up this as an academic field. So here, once you are media literate, what are you supposed to do? You are supposed to identify the author, the purpose, the point of view, examining the construction techniques and genres, and also examining the patterns of media representation. And you should be in a position to detect what it is. It is the fact or opinion, or it is something propaganda or agenda, and censorship and the bias of how it has been taking in terms of the public affair programming. So at the same time, this will help you to understand why it has happened. Because is it because of the ownership, or is it because of the funding model? Right now we are in this crisis only, the media ownership with Adoni and Ambani, and the funding models we see that is affecting the information presented.
Yes,
Yeah.
Ambani ruling the world directly.
Yeah, very unfortunate, but it is something which always remains to be debated. Hopefully when we have a media literacy, might be we can talk about it, because if here what is happening still, if you remember that new world of communication and all those things that
But
has always
journalists are not running any TV channels, madam. But politicians are running, business people are running.
Yes, it
This
is
has
not
to
a
change,
television.
madam. A journalist must, if you start a news channel, he must be a journalist, at least journalist, ma'am. Then only our country will change, ma'am. Otherwise,
Yeah.
journalists become slaves.
because what is happening is that, when we talk about a journal, it is not the journalist, it is the organization policy
Media
that
has
is stopping.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, because journalist is only one kind of a person there, he works. But if they try to break, see, there are so many disheartening stories, where people put so much of efforts and talk about development journalism, development communication, but the media organizational policies, whether to like or to print, gatekeeping is done by the editor. So here, why the gatekeeping is done? Because they have to see the revenues, they have to see, okay, to sustain revenues are important, but they have come to a point of profit and loss. They have come to into the business rivalries, they have come into the trade rivalries. So in that competition, the social responsibility and the real role of the journalism is slowly getting faded away, because we only see all the channels talking about one part of the story that is not so exciting. So therefore it has to change, and that can happen only with the media literacy. Just as we have learned that, there are low levels, high levels, and the medium level, middle levels. When the Indian citizen will come to that higher level, then only we can bring a change. Let us take the best example of the largest democracy, that is America. What happens there? They too have the same, they too are so democratic society. So there can
Ma'am,
be a 20%. Yeah.
ma'am, they
We are
always
illiterate,
stand for
ma'am.
their rights actually.
We are
Where
illiterate,
No,
ma'am.
India,
because
Message will not go to the low level, madam. Because
yes, yes.
Indians are illiterate. That's why they are playing the games in India.
ma'am, not only illiterates, even literate people also sometimes they just overlook the things
It is
just for
not
name.
about, the literacy, it is not about the educated one. It is about the maturity of the democratic institutions that are helping people to understand their own rights, their own fundamental duties. So to conclude, what we can say is that, Indian democracy is still an immature democracy, because here we have a very good constitution, but still we don't follow constitution. We only take a constitution into consideration when we have elections, right? Yeah, when the political leaders talk about. Apart from that, whether you are highly educated, qualified also, are you bothered? Do we go and vote to the person whom we feel that is the correct elective representative? So it is the political leaders that the whole country is governed with. So when the one political party is governing it, so their policies are that one. So who can speak? The citizen can speak for it. So it is now time to understand that, we need to have a maturity level of understanding of our democratic powers. If we understand that one, the difference between developing countries and developed countries is the same thing, no? Because those people are far away and are matured enough to understand there are certain rights, rules, and regulations. Here the laws and regulations are only in the books, but what we preach, we don't practice. So we have all kinds of loopholes wherein we are ending up with this kind of a state of media affairs. So getting back to all those things, therefore we have to see that, whether it is media funding or it is a political overtone. So we have to see that the media literacy represents an education process which tends to enable members of the community to creatively and critically understand. So how much are we critically and creatively understanding the message? Yeah, we only see when we come across one particular TV, we see, okay, that is, that political television is only a dabba of one particular political party, but we don't criticize, we don't creatively talk about it. So where is the fault lying? The fault is not lying on the people who are existing. The fault is because we are exposed to that one, and we are there, we are not reacting to it. It continues to be the same. So we have to critically understand and creatively analyze what it is. So particularly in the present world of the social media and digitalization, there is very immediate need of having a media literacy. So media education has been in most of the countries, but the manner of realization is quite different, as we just discussed. So media literacy has been present for over 50 years. It is still dependent on individual initiative. There isn't a unique name for the subject or discipline. The reason not lies in a mutual differences of educational system, but in the change in the purpose of the objectives. The objectives of educating the media to the children or in as part of the education has to be overall revamped, so that the upcoming generations, at least they should have a knowledge that how media is important, and how they can control the media in terms of their own usage. So we have to get a dynamic syllabus, so that everybody can understand. So societal techniques in media literacy. So media literacy includes the acquired skills needed to develop awareness of the media use or exposure, and analyze the media message with an understanding of social cultural context and the effects. The holistic method includes media use of persuasion and social change strategies. Understanding media begins by developing consciousness about media consumption, the personal choices and habits of audiences. See, this media consumption, let us take the best example of Zabardast Hit. What is that? That is a one kind of a program. From comedy to it has become a bad taste of humor. Now it is a black humor, isn't it? It has crossed all the limits. So now, but still we see there, there is a viewership to it. Yeah. So whether ETV likes or not, it will continue, because it has got the TRPs. So that media consumption part it is an individual's decision, isn't it? So that part, to make you understand what is media consumption, it is the change that has to be brought by one own self, about one and own self and their personal choice and habits of watching the television. So societal techniques focus on exerting pressures on industry, government and institution to increase the awareness about the change. It needs a strategy, commitment and time and money. In 1970s, we have seen that consumer groups wanted to protect child from broadcasters. In 1995, political figures wanted to clean up the talk shows. So the transformation of modern society in the last decade brought a massive economical, technological, and social change. And here, these were the challenges that we have confronted. At the same time, there are also we see that with this technological advancement, whether we like or not, every information, everything is accessible just a click away. So in this context, today's citizens need to acquire new skills to manage this new reality. Yeah, and there's for more so they need, apart from the critical thinking, they need to have a digital skills also. Because if you don't have a digital skills, where you don't want to block, we don't know how to block or don't know how to follow in your similar like-minded groups, then the media literacy is not up to the mark and will not improve your media literacy competency levels. So you have to be assured that you are also as well increasing your media skills. So thus we come to the session where we have learned about the media literacy is composed of three building blocks, that is skills, knowledge structure and personal locus. So the skills are the tools that we use to work on information in the media message to build strong knowledge structures. People who are high media literate are able to see much more in a given message, though they are more aware of the levels of meaning. This enhances the understanding and therefore the media literacy is achieved. They are more in charge of programming their own mental codes. This enhances the control. They are also much likely to get what they want from the messages. So ultimately the word is that we need to have a media literacy and understand and enhance our skills, let it be digital skills or media literacy skills. Yeah. So the other part what we can discuss today so that we can complete our syllabus is, we have just 20 minutes, so we'll just finish it off. One second. So today being the last session of your semester, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So I hope you all will prepare for your exams very well.
Yes, ma'am.
When madam
We'll
exam?
try our best.
Next month, ma'am.
Yeah. Sorry.
Exams, ma'am. Next month.
Exams, huh? I'm not aware of. You should be knowing, no?
The SAR said after 20 January.
Yeah. See, it's too long, no? You, if you have
But
done with
actually,
it,
just 1 week ago only we received our material, ma'am. PDF material.
Okay, you got the material, no? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, see, we have all discussed all the issues and the topic of this one, media and news society also we have discussed. So I think we have come to, I have tried to touch in a short period, more so concentrating about the issues related to the media and media literacy. Then any topic that I have not covered? Application of media literacy in various fields. Yes, I just wanted to discuss this one. You know how controversial, like we see where are the controversial elements as part of the media message consumption. Why becoming a media literate is very important. Yeah. So we see that, with the flow of this information and the kinds of, and it is not only the information. See, when we see television, it is the news that we listen to, but in the social media, what it is the reports, it is the hashtags, it is the comments, it is the shares, they have that, recommendations, likes, dislikes, views and all those things. So now the social media is just not and a source of information, but a follow-up also of it, hashtag with your comments or recommend and all those
Yes,
things.
ma'am.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
so we see that there is
20 persons per
always,
call.
yeah, in such situation we see that, now with the artificial intelligence also, we can see there are so many new sites on which we cannot depend, because that has given a scope for the fake news, satirical sites, or for the negative advertising competitions, and also
Propaganda also, madam, they are using for propaganda method.
because of this artificial
Political parties,
intelligence.
especially political parties using that one.
Yes. So, see, on the one side, we try to, as a responsible media, when we try to criticize the political parties on their own, try to create with this another platform of a social media. So, here, what is happening as a media user, I am confused. If I have a higher level, I will identify, I will narrate it. But whatever those who have a low levels and the middle levels of understanding, middle level people, they are not bothered, but low level people, they will form some kind of a opinion, isn't it? Yeah,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
that opinion, whether it is right or wrong, it doesn't matter. Okay, I have seen that, so it has happened, so they continue to follow that one. But then that is totally unscientific. So we see that, in this present era, this media communication in terms of social media is not even in this one, even in, if you see television, but the why there is so much of difference between the social media and on this television and radio, because that is one to one. Like, if you will do it, you will understand, and if you have an access to that particular websites, people will understand, okay, the radio is working like this and television is working like. But social media is something where, once you just log into your Facebook account, there's a fall of messages coming into you, sometimes the messages also, you just keep on jumping, coming loaded. So in this, there we have a fear of fake news, which undermines the democracy, and we are afraid to trust the mainstream new industry. Now we have come to a situation, because of this technological advances, let it be technological advances, or let it be the use and misuse. Now we are under a threat because of the fake news, coming up, which is undermining the democracy. And at the same time, are we having the trust in the mainstream? We say, when generally we confront all those things, whether we like or not. I was watching that news. What is that news? This is what the response we get, because the trust is not been maintained by we have the social media has come to an existence wherein it has started to question our trust of the media, what we follow also. So what we following is also been questioned by the social media, isn't it? So you might like, there are national channels where we feel, they do really some development programs, so they are working towards their role as a social responsibility. But because of this parallel platforms working, then you also sometimes are forced to think, are they really doing or not? So that remains a very big question mark, especially when it is related to a democratic country. So, in such things we have to see that we have to keep our personal biases up away from that one. And we have to interpret and understand and analyze the information, so that we continue with our pre-existing beliefs. If there is no bias in your understanding, so you have to continue. Then you have to maintain your focus while doing all those things, and diversify your news sources also. Understand from where it has come. But is it possible for everyone, who are not active? For you active users it could be, but for passive users it is not there. Then also we have to distinguish between journalism and other forms of information. So see, we cannot club the social media and journalism together. Journalism is totally a different arena, and social media, because social media anybody can generate your own website or your own comment boxes and all those things. There the source is not identified so easily. But whereas in journalism we have a proper working system, we have everything, so that we have to make understand that how the media works. Then we have to see that verification and assertions by the different journalism and journal reporters also, whether they are following the transparency accountability methods or not, has to be understood. Then we have to understand that now what's new and why now. No, why, if it is coming, why it is coming now. All of a sudden, when we have political campaigning or something out of a blue we come. When we had this Rahul Gandhi's thing, somewhere 14 years old, information came that about his own personal life, or he going to pub or something. So why it is coming, and now what is the usage of it, has to be understood. And accountability, credibility, and we have to read beyond the headlines. Now, what are common controversial content elements we see in our day-to-day life? We see that healthy democracy requires a well-informed and active public. That's why we take our freedom of information, expression, and journalism very seriously. We don't have to improve the new industry by becoming reporters or publishers. Boosting our news literacy skills makes us a tech audience, or tech savvy audience. So controversy is often in the eye of the beholder. The best way to prevent a subject from becoming controversial is to give a verifiable information from reliable sources that has truth, accurate, and complete reporting in is information. Students should be able to show why these used information are there or not there. They should be transparent about their coverage. If suppose tomorrow, if you are a journalist, you should be sure and be transparent, and also have this verified information. But then we see that when it comes to the health, health reporting, journalists routinely attempt to balance different, sometimes competing aims, and all those. Because of the competition, there are certain constraints. We understand that health is an issue, and the health industry is totally a different thing. But when it comes to health and media reporting, we need to have a sound technical knowledge. We need to have a channel which have appropriate source of power within their organization, and ability to advocate for a better quality information that can build the nation. So medical issues are widely reported in the mass media. These reports influence the general public, policymakers, and healthcare professionals. So we have to see at the same time, this information should be valid, and it should not be speculative or inaccurate or misleading. An understanding of the obstacle media literate meet in their own work can guide strategies for improving the information related to the medical journalism. Media literature should struggle to provide accurate and relevant information about health and medicine, that they might see what are the aftermath effects also with their technical sound information. So generally what we see when we're talking about the health, okay, let us take the best example of this corona and all those things. In those corona, all those things, so the media has really played to an extent a good role, where they have got the professionals, like all the expertise, where they were talking that what to be done and what not to be done. But at the same time, when we have seen the WhatsApp, we had so confusing information that created instead of a good effects, they created a bad effects, and also they created a fear, they created a kind of a trauma, they created a mental disorders. So media shouldn't quote for this one, but they have to give a scientific approach and have a good information related to that one. On the one hand, we talk about this journalism, so journalism is able to do, but you have that paid slots coming in the television channels, yeah, like naptol, and where they have that health related to the cigar, anti-smoking, and anti-obesity, and hair fall and all those things. So the media is not taking the responsibility, it is only selling the slot, and they are giving the information. So that is the advertisement part, but at the same time, the media is trying to balance its coverage by having the media professionals who have a scientific information related to the health and medical system. So there are two things going side by side. Now what how do we come out of it is only with the help of the media literacy. So media literacy education is not new, but the something where it has built up the need for us to come up with the essential skills that can help us to come out of this kind of a confusion where we have a diverse information and so many claims. So how do we understand is what the media literacy tries to help. So media literacy is also important in terms of advertising also. As we understand, mass media provides a set of ideology and belief through the images. It shapes the frames of references, and also we see that advertising is uses the media as the best platform to reach to the public. So apart from the media literacy, even the advertising literacy is also important. So media literacy is one part, and advertising literacy is also is another component. So what is media advertising literacy? Advertising literacy refers to personal knowledge of a people about advertising, its persuasive intent. So when we are saying advertising, what it is, advertising itself is something a persuasive attempt and trying to see that the buyer is convinced with the message and take an action of buying it. So when the basic principle of advertising is persuasion, then how do we as a media literate understand this one? So here, as we understand that advertising a persuasive intent, and the advertising techniques are used to target the people. So here what the skills we required is to understand the critical aspect of advertising. Due to the recent developments in the media landscape, the lines between the commercial message and media content have totally, there's a silver line in difference. Media literacy is again been challenged, especially minors who are still developing their advertising literacy skills have difficulties in identifying and coping with the new advertising types. So media literate viewers should be aware of the construction, quotes, and convention of the media messages and understand audience reading and interpretation of the media. They should acknowledge that people with different experiences perceive and interpret the message differently. A media literate person should have greater knowledge of advertising in terms of content, industry, effects, and be able to employ these knowledge structures to evaluate the advertising messages they encounter. So every advertising message has to be understood, but then only we will understand whether how effective the advertising is, that one. So as a media literate or growing media literate student, you have to develop this kind of skills so that you understand what is advertising and what are the media literacy in terms of advertising has to be understood. Yeah. So sports content also, when we talk about the media literacy in sports content, as you know, this sports media includes information, communication, harnessing a consumer audience, community integration, and social change. Media sports are dynamic due to a high number of composers who contribute to the production and transmission of electronic, visual, audio, and print sports sources. And media composers are motivated to represent sports reality in several ways. Also, to take into consideration that their transmission or telecast, or their information should make a profit, shape values, provide public service, build media reputations, and express in technological artistic forms. So the media, while playing a key role in communicating information, is the most accessible and more cost effective resource for the sports, providing all the details with the desired quality. So receiving a variety of sports message requires media literacy. So what is sports literacy? Sports literacy may challenge, if not challenge to do otherwise, live the aspiration of a sports fans, not as a journalist. They seek to identify what athletes and teams use sports as a way to socialize, perhaps to their mental mastery of sports through fantasy leagues and betting pools. Responsibility of media literacy of sports content is to verify the facts given to you and find the truth behind the rumors about the players, athletes, sports commentators, and organization. We every time see when in this IPL, T20, what all come, no, all such things happen. At the same time, you have to upload, and especially the way he's trolled, no, what is his name? Anushka and Virat Kohli. So why it is the need? So you need to have a sport literacy also as part of the media literacy. So you have to uphold the same professional and ethical standards when we are trying to talk about the sports content and sport literacy. Media violence and media literacy. So implications for individuals. Violence, as you know, is where in every news content, video games, it should be avoided because it might have a direct effect. So media violence is very hard to define because, as I told you, it is yes or no or neutral, we cannot know, but definitely there is some kind of impact that has to see that there is less implication. So this is all about the media literacy. So we just have 2 minutes. If you have anything that we can discuss, hopefully we will meet later or not, I don't know, but I wish you all the best for your preparation for your exams. And if you feel any point of time that you can discuss any issue, you can personally post to me or ask me, then I'll see what help I can do. Hello?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Can we have your number? If we have any doubts, we'll contact you.
Yeah. You don't have my number?
No, ma'am.
Yeah. It's 98484. Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, 98484 70694.
Ma'am, I repeat 98484 70694.
Yeah, ma.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. So anything, please let me know. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
sure.
your
Ma'am.
semester has ended. All the best. Anything more you would like to discuss? You would like to give a feedback that how was your session, so that I should also understand, know whether it's. I think this is a post-pandemic. Also, they are continuing, and I'm for the first time teaching you all. Anyways, yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you so much. All the best. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.